Hey there, guys and gals and YouTubers. Welcome back, guys. And today we are in Sid Meier's Civilization 5. So with the anticipation of Civ 6 just around the corner, coming out in October, I decided to go ahead and add this game to the channel. I've actually had this game in my possession for probably a couple years. But I recently just started playing it with a couple of buddies of mine, and my buddies also are kind of new to the game. So we all just jumped in and started playing and started learning, and oh man, what a nice, beautiful game this is. I do have some experience playing Civ 4. I have played Civ 4, but I have not got around to prior to playing Civ 5, prior to playing with my buddies. I bought it a while back on a Steam sale. Basically got the whole pack on a discount, and that's basically the way to go with these Civ games, because even though they've been out for years, they're still kind of expensive, and best time to wait is either the summer sale or the Christmas sale on Steam, and you can get the whole pack almost dirt cheap. So with that said, we're kind of going to do, I guess, kind of like a let's learn, because I am new myself, and some of you guys coming into the channel will probably, most likely, will be new players. Even though this game's been out since 2010, there is still new people coming into the game, just like myself, other people. So, as far as veterans of this game, they may want to stick around and watch this too. Maybe give me some pointers. Maybe down below in the description, down in the comments, leave me some tips on what I'm doing good or doing right or whatever, or just give me some tips on how to play a little bit better. Yeah, this is kind of how I'm going to set it up, because I'm not used to doing Let's Play per se. I'm used to kind of doing the teaching for myself. So yeah. So what we are going to do with this, since we're kind of new, if you guys have the gold edition or just the base Civ 5 pack, we're going to start with that, basically kind of the vanilla. So if you guys out there have the whole collection here, what we're going to do is actually go down here to the DLC, and we're just going to disable all these other DLCs for right now. The first playthrough, we're going to just do kind of the base vanilla game. The second playthrough we're going to add in the Gods and King expansion. And then the third playthrough, we're going to do Brave New World and basically enable all these other stuff here. This way we can appreciate when we add in the new DLCs and kind of get a feel of what they're actually adding into the game. And for myself, as a beginner, so I don't get overwhelmed with all this new stuff, and plus when we add it in, feel grateful for all the new DLC coming in and feel appreciated, kind of like going back in time when these DLCs first came out. So yeah, you can do this in the game. You can play the stock game. So we'll actually take all this out here. And I kind of would recommend doing this if you're kind of a new player, and this way it doesn't seem so confusing, because these other two main DLC packs, God and King and Brave New World, kind of add a lot more to the game. Some of it gets changed up, some of it gets rearranged, but if you're new to the game and want to get your foot wet in this game and feel a little bit scared by it and haven't really done anything with this game before, just do it like this, guys. But some of you guys might just have only Civ 5. That's fine. Just fire it up. So we'll hit OK here. Actually, let's double check. Yep, that sounds good. So we gotta wait here. So it's basically just gonna convert us all back to stock. Or just the base vanilla game. So we're going to go to options really quick here. I would recommend leaving your visor level where it's at. Mine is turned off because we're just going to go through here and I'm going to play myself and we're going to learn together. Most likely One of these is going to be on for you, probably new to Civ, which is you're going to get all these pop-ups with these viruses, basically giving you some tips on the game. So if you're fresh and new, I recommend to leave those on. And you can actually turn these off later on, or during the game you can turn those off. For myself, I have automatic workers don't replace improvements and automatic workers don't remove features. I have these two checked on. Maybe for you guys' first time going through, maybe leave those unchecked. We'll actually talk about this a little bit more once we're in game because it'll make sense. So we'll try to remember that here. And then there's some other key features just down here which kind of makes the flow of the game a little bit better during multiplayer and single player. Basically multiplayer quick combat. If you check that, it kind of disables the animations in combat. So if you're playing multiplayer, it goes a little bit faster. It kind of streamlines it. And the same goes for movement. It just kind of, they don't walk over to the next hex. They kind of just instantaneously hop over. And the same goes for the single player. So you guys can kind of mess around with that. And that's basically all we need to do here. And then, yeah, there's also mods in the game. There's quite a few mods. Most of these are other civilizations, other kind of kings in the game, and basically all these I got off the Steam Workshop, and you can guys, if you guys want to do that, you can do that later on. I probably won't enable all these till later down the road when we get into some other Let's Plays and whatnot. So we're actually not, for this first playthrough, we're not going to enable any of these mods. So basically, the mods will add just to the single player aspect of the game. It doesn't really add to the multiplayer of the game. So what you basically do is enable these, hop on through, go through these different screens, and it'll basically set it up for you for single player. Multiplayer is really nice. I would recommend too, if you're new, like I did, if you have some buddies that are kind of fairly new to the game, ask them if they can play with you. You know, set up a time to play this game together, learn together. It's a really good game to learn together, and there's no stress. So I would recommend either doing it like I do, set up just to the base game, or do multiplayer with some buddies. Good way to learn. So yeah, so let's jump on in single player here. And we don't want to do play now. That kind of randomly just gives you setup, but basically we're going to go here and do set up our own game. So we're going to start down here with map type. There's different types of the map. You got continents, Pangea. Pangea is just one huge continent. Continents is basically two large continents, kind of like having the Europe and the United States, and then you got like an ocean or whatnot in the middle. Archipelago, I guess there's many different islands. Fractal is thin forms, snaky continents, and then you got your Earth type stuff, and there's additional stuff here depending on your DLCs and whatnot. But I just go and play continents. That's kind of what I feel comfortable with, so we already got that set up. Normally I'll play on map size standard, which has 8 players with 16 city-states. But for this playthrough, we're going to do just small, just to kind of get through it a little bit faster, which is 6 players with 12 city-states. And difficulty, I go with normal, just to prince. You guys being new, probably maybe settler for learning, or chieftain, beginner, or even warlord. So all these really do is either give you an advantage or disadvantage towards the AI. So usually normal difficulty level will kind of keep you and the AI kind of at the same level playing. I think once you go down, going a little bit easier, you're going to have more an advantage over the AI. There's some bonuses. If you go up higher, the AI is going to have a little bit more bonuses against you. So yeah, it goes all the way up to deity. So I leave it at prince. You guys might like maybe bump it down a couple, chieftain or warlord. Game pace, I do standard. Epic and marathon just make the game last a lot longer. So you could either do quick just to get the feel of the game, or standard. I always like to keep everything standard personally. So, and there's also like randomization, advanced setup here. Yeah, you can kind of tweak it a little bit more. What this does is you can tweak the map a little bit more. So you can start out at different eras. Normally in the game you start out in ancient era, or what if you can also set it up where you can start up further down the line, or the world age. Basically, the I think the younger the 3 billion years here, that means there's going to be more mountainous type terrain, and I guess is it the younger? Yes, the older means the planet's been here longer, so I think you won't have so much mountainous terrain there. It's going to be a little bit more plateauy. So 30 billion years, I believe that's 3 billion. I may have it vice versa, but you guys get the point here. You will have more mountainous compared to a newer Earth or older Earth. So we keep it like in the middle. Temperate just basically sets up your Earth, I guess. If you want to have a temperate, maybe a cooler one or a hotter one. I guess if you have hotter, you might have more desert type hexes or tiles or whatever you want to call them. Rainfall, like maybe if you crank it up too wet, you're gonna have probably more rivers, lakes, and oceans and such, and whatnot. And the same goes with the sea level. So there's a lot of tweaking you can do here if you want to do that. And you can also set specific victory types if you don't want to do all these. I kind of leave all these on because it gives you an option to either do time, victory, science, domination, or cultural or diplomatic. So yeah, that is basically it for that. Yeah, so basically this is just my setup video. This is kind of be like episode 0. It's going to have a little bit gameplay in there, but the next episode is going to have a lot more gameplay. It's going to be a lot of talking in this episode. So, alrighty, let's go ahead and pick our leader here. I kind of want to do something simple for you guys. Like I said, you probably want to do this too, a little bit simple. Because starting off, what happens here, you got your country, and you, basically, I guess you can call him your great leader. And usually you'll get a bonus for each country or whatever country you pick here. So like Alexander here from Greece, city-state influence degrades at half and recovers at twice the normal rate. So each one of these different, they call them civs here, or leaders, gets a different bonus. So you kind of want to go through here and read different ones depending on what type of gameplay you want to do. And then each one of them gets a unique unit here. Most likely they'll get one unit and one unique building. And what usually the unique unit does is kind of replace the standard vanilla stock one in game, and has a little bit more of a bonus and kind of a little bit more of a elite type of unit, which is kind of cool. Which these guys actually get 2 units. They get the companion cavalry and hospitallite, and then you got your country symbols here. So to make things a little bit simpler, we're gonna do Elizabeth of England. She's got a pretty simple thing here. It's only +2 movement for all naval units, so it's pretty simple for you guys to remember. And there's not a lot of different things you need to figure out later on, because some of these have, like I said, a lot of little perks maybe you might oversee or not use in the game. So yeah, Elizabeth is pretty much a really good one for the beginner player. They get a longbowman here, and then they get the ship of the line. So in game, we're going to actually when we get in the game, we'll look at these guys a little bit closer here. So if you guys don't want to do Elizabeth and there's something that kind of appeals to you and you feel a little bit more comfortable, definitely go for it. Definitely go try it out. But for us right now to learn, we're just going to do Elizabeth of England here. And then we're just going to hit and make sure everything's good here, small, and start the game here.
Praises upon Her Serene Highness, Queen Elizabeth Gloriana.
Elizabeth
You lead and protect
Gloriana.
the celebrated maritime nation of England.
So I'm a little
England is an
scared to
ancient
play
land,
her, actually.
settled as early as
I don't know if
35,000
a lot of
years
other
ago,
countries
the
are going to
island
actually
has
want
seen
to
countless waves of
go to war
invaders,
with
each
me.
in turn becoming a
Because there's
part
some
of the
nations
fabric
that
of
seem to be a little bit more
Although
hostile,
England is a small
and then there's some
island,
nations
for
that
many
seem to
years
be a
your
little
people
bit
dominated the
more
world stage. Their
friendly
matchless
with
navy,
other
brilliant
civilizations.
artists,
So I
and
don't
shrewd
know how
merchants,
this is going to
giving them
go out.
power and influence far in excess
You
of
never
their
know
mere
exactly
number.
what you're going to get in each
Queen
game,
Elizabeth,
basically.
will you bring about a new golden age for the English people? They look to you once more to return peace and prosperity to the nation. Will you take up the mantle of greatness? Can you build a civilization that will stand the test of time?
Alrighty, so Longbowman. Medieval range infantry unit, only the English may build it. The unit has one additional range compared to crossbow, which it replaces. So it replaces the crossbow, and it's got one additional range. So that's kind of a long range, which is obviously a longbow. Ship of the line, powerful Renaissance era naval unit used to wrest control of the seas. Only the English may build it. So pretty cool. So let's go ahead and start our journey. So usually you're gonna start out here. You got your settler here, then you got your warrior. Sometimes you might start with a scout unit, but basically these two are what you're gonna start out with. And usually when you spawn you in the first time, they're usually going to set you in a perfect place where you don't have to move the settler. You can pretty much settle on that square. So they usually give you an optimal place to set up the first time here. If you don't like that, you can actually go up here in the menu, hit the restart game. It'll save all these settings, but it'll basically just regenerate the map again. So let's go ahead and return the game here. So your map is probably might be set up like this, but I usually set up mine a little bit different. So we'll go down here to toggle map options, and I'll turn the hex on, which gives us the hex grid, which kind of looks like a board game basically. Resource icons, which we can see the different resources like the elephants over here and the gold. And then for the beginning, for a while, I'll leave the yield icons on, which will give us information about the hexes or the tiles. But you can also get information without those on once we hover over a tile. And if you notice towards the right over here, where my mouse is right here, when I hover over something, it's going to give us the information. So there's going to be like 1 food, 1 production, and 1 gold. So yeah, the green apples are basically food. These gold coins are gold, and then the hammers are production. So let's go ahead, and this looks pretty good. Let's actually move over a little bit, maybe see a little bit more here, but I think this is good. It's always good to settle next to a river because it'll give us some additional buildings we can help out our city with later on. We'll get some bonuses through that. So this is a good spot. Let's go ahead and settle here. So yeah, these lines right here in this color, this is basically our borders here. So once we settle the first time, we gotta choose production, and we're gonna go monument, which is a good thing for the first time with this, usually when you settle, because it'll increase the culture of the city, in which it'll increase the rate it grows. So that's a really good one to start with. Research. Usually I always start with pottery, and the next one will depend on what resources we kind of have close, so we'll get into that a little bit later. So we'll click next turn, which obviously this game is a turn-based game. It's nothing like Age of Empires or anything like that. So the first time you settle your first city, which becomes the capital here, if you go up here, you also get a free wonder, which you get your palace, and this palace is at your capital. So it will give you some benefits from here. It gives you 3 plus 3 gold, plus 3 science, plus 3 production, and plus 2.5 defense and culture and whatnot. It shows you the cost here. So if you notice up here, we got 5 gold. Now we can only collect gold if we have a worker on the tile, and these little slots here are where workers go. Every so often, when you have enough excess food, your city will produce another worker, and a worker will usually randomly go over to one of these spots. Wherever you have it set up over here for them to focus on, they'll go over there. If you want them to specifically go there, just click the button here and it'll lock them in there, and I make sure they'll go there every time. If you want to clear that out, hit reset tile. So we got right now, we got one, well actually, if we go up here, it says we have a total of 5 gold. Well actually, let's go a little step back a little bit. Up here, this is your science, this is plus 4, this is your gold. We got 5 gold so far. We get plus 5 gold every turn. The green happiness, 5 green usually means in the positive. If we have a red 5, that's usually negative 5. Then we got our golden age. This is 5 of 500, which is like this special thing that usually happens with a certain event that gives us, basically we start a golden age, which gives us a benefit of like gold, and there's a 20% production bonus in our nation basically. And then we got our policies, 1 of 25. We got plus 1 every turn, and we'll look at policies when we time to select one. So here, yeah, there's production here. These little hammers are production, which means usually if we have more of those, when it's time for us to do basically when it's time for us to do something in our city, like make archers, or when it's time for us to produce something, the more of these we have in the city and the more they're working in our city, usually there's going to be less turns to produce something out of our city, like I said, an archer or this monument here. There'll be less turns. The food here is basically for the citizens. I believe your citizens will eat 2 of the food, and you'll have excess. If you have excess, they'll use the excess to grow some more citizens. So right here, there's 7 turns until a new citizens are born. And yeah, and our goal is just basically randomly already kind of on the map. And this mountain here already has like a gold mine or whatever, and we're already getting kind of like 2 gold from there. We can actually work this tile here later on with some sort of when we unlock certain tech like mining, we can build on that, and it'll basically give us more gold yield. I believe another plus 1 gold. So yeah, oh yeah. So it's saying we got plus 5 income. So if you want to try to figure this out here, you got 1 gold here and 2 gold here. Then you're like, okay, where's the other 3 gold coming from? Well, if you look on the palace here, you got to remember we're getting plus 3. So that's 3 plus these 2 being worked is you're getting 5 gold. And this square that's always on the city, it's always going to be worked automatically. So you don't have to send a worker or whatnot. So yeah. Oh boy. So let's go back to the map. There's a lot to talk about in this one, I guess, here. So I guess I covered most of it. Let's go ahead and go to next turn here. Get our warriors. So basically what our warriors or our scouts we get, I'll usually scout out a perimeter around our base first. And then usually we'll find these ruins here. And what these ruins do for us when we collect them is usually give us a random bonus, sometimes giving us gold, sometimes upgrading our units here to maybe like spearman or something, or unlocking a free tech. So they're really nice to find here. So we found survivors, so basically we increased our population, so that's really nice here. So we're gonna have, yeah, we got another worker over here working the food here. And then we got these random barbarian camps that just kind of spawn in around the map and pretty close to our towns. Every so often they'll produce a warrior unit or whatever kind of unit, and they'll usually go around the map just kind of harassing other players, ourselves. They're usually not too dangerous for the cities. We don't have to worry about these cities because these cities are pretty they have pretty good defenses, so it takes a lot to take them over. So barbarian camp or barbarians, we don't have to worry about them like taking out our towns. We gotta worry about when we have our workers. They'll come in and kidnap them and take them back to their camp. So we can go in there, destroy them, and we'll get some benefits from that. We'll get gold out of that if we destroy them. So yeah, if you notice, there's different terrain. The terrain in this game basically is kind of a thing. If there's hills, if you're on top of the hills, you'll get like defensive bonuses, attack bonuses. You'll also get better line of sight. If you're behind a hill, you probably won't see as good. There's also the forest tiles and usually jungle tiles. Usually units traveling through there will be a lot slower. Depending on the nation, some like Native American nations will use the forest kind of like as roads, so they'll traverse a little bit faster through there. But most likely, most of the civs will not be able to travel that fast through mountains, forest, and marshlands and jungles, and I probably missed a couple. So we are just going to scout out a little bit more here. I think I covered most of the setup and the basics really of the game here so far. So I'm going to end the episode here, and we're going to continue on playing in the next episode and learning a little bit more. So like I said, this is not really for advanced players. This is for new players like myself. I kind of want to bring them into the game. I want to help them out. They can help me out too. So it's a win-win situation. We're going to help out each other here. Because obviously I am not a great player on this. I love playing games, and I love bringing new games to the channel here. So this is why I'm doing this. So we're going to learn together here, guys. So, alrighty guys. We'll definitely see you next time, and take care out there, guys. Bye-bye.